sure that they can differentiate before you even get started. It's not going to be a bad test. Next, we need to test their language, and I'm going to scoot to this picture next. These NIH pictures are found throughout the hospital. They're stocked in our NIH stroke awareness books, stroke education books, and they're also going to be posted on each and every single unit. The hospital has purchased some books, and all of our core units will receive them so we can all be referencing to the same thing. I know these are pictures, so sometimes they do get lost, so we're going to try to attach them to multiple places in the hospital so we can all be using them. In this picture, you would show this picture to the patient, and you would ask them to describe what is going on in this picture. And you would hope that they can tell you more than just the woman's washing dishes. You want to be like, okay, what else? The water's spilling out of the sink, somebody's trying to get in a cookie jar, the little girl's laughing, the boy's falling off the stool. You want them to give you as much detail in this picture as you possibly can, not just there's a woman and kids. Again, you don't want to prompt them, but they need to be able to tell you more. We're looking for aphasia. Can the patient talk? Is it clear? Is it how you and I are talking? Do they have a little bit of mild to moderate aphasia? Where, like I said, if it was mild to moderate, they'd be like, there's a woman, there's two kids, they're doing stuff in the picture. Okay, mild. You got a lot of it going on. If it was severe aphasia, there would be no communication. It would be very, very fragmented. They may be grunting. They might not even be able to tell you. They might just say picture along those lines. We can also have mute or global aphasia, where there is no speech at all. They can't tell you anything. It's those patients who just look like they're trapped. You know what I mean? They're looking at you and you want to think and that they're going to talk to you, but they're just not. That's your global aphasia. Again, ask them to describe what is happening in the picture. Our intubated patients, because this is always a challenge. If possible, we want to ask our intubated patients to write down and describe to us what's going on in the picture. If they can actually write down what's going on in the picture, we give them a score of 1. If they can't write down anything and they're just looking at you, they're not able to talk, they're not able to communicate in any way, we do give them a score of 3 with global aphasia. This is another picture that we look at to help test aphasia too. We ask them to please describe these objects in the picture. Again, they're common objects, and we're just making sure that they can tell us what they are. You know, we're looking for a glove, key, cactus, feather, and chair. We're looking for dysarthria. How is their pronunciation? Are they slurring? Are they garbled? Again, we're grading it from mild to moderate or severe. A little bit is they start to stutter. Mild to moderate is they stutter, but you can still understand them. Severe dysarthria is that patient's speech is slow, slurred. You can't understand what they're saying to you at all. Or they're just not talking to you. This next slide that I'm going to show you is what we use to test for dysarthria. We want them to say specific words to us to look for. These words were developed because they're hitting a lot of the syllables in the alphabet for us. So again, you hold it up and you have the patient repeat the words back to you. If they can't read, you can say, okay, please repeat after me. Say mama, tip top, 50-50, etc., etc. And then you're going to grade them on their scores with that. Extinction and inattention. This is the most difficult one for people. We are actually testing extinction and inattention the entire time we're doing our NIH stroke scale and all of the other elements that we're looking for. It's not particularly one specific test that we're doing. So as you're doing your exam with all of the other 10 elements, you're usually testing this. Again, we can test this by having the patient close their eyes, asking him to identify which side they're being touched, on their face, on their arm, or the extremity. Well, when we're testing sensation, we're kind of already doing that. So you know what I mean? Once you practice this and get good at this, you're realizing that you're already doing some of these tests as well. To test the extension of vision, again, the examiner should hold up one finger in front of each of the patient's eyes and to determine if the finger is wiggling. Well, this is what we're doing when we're doing the confrontational test, right? We're looking for them to tell you what visual fields you're coming into. Again, this is done kind of simultaneously. Any questions on this one? This one tends to be the most hard or the difficult one for people to grasp. And that concludes it. References are found online. There are tons and tons and tons of references out there for us to use. The National Institute of Health Stroke Scale, the American Heart Association has some references that we can refer to. Like I said, each unit on the hospital now is going to be having a stroke scale that's going to be attached, so you guys will have references to use throughout your hospital. Any questions?
With the last one that you just covered, like you say, you test them. So let's say, or I couldn't lift my arm because I, couldn't lift it, but I had sensation there. How would you grade that?
They would still get the score of 1 because it's not all or nothing on this one, and it is a little bit difficult because we're looking at your visual, tactile, your auditory, and your personal inattention. So you have some of it. You can have the sensation, but you might not have the tactile, or vice versa, whatever it may be. So you can receive partial scores for this one. Any other questions? Okay. We can also talk about some patients that we see and try to develop scores. That was a really good question. The Bell's palsy question, those were going to be some kind of case examples and stuff. How do I grade this? What do I do for these types of patients? So